Sorry I didn't bring my mirrorless camera today, by the way. I mean, I have it in my room, but this was like I'm making dinner and I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna talk to the camera. So Nvidia got raided. What does the French government know? What is Nvidia doing? This huge corporation that is so embedded in AI and server technology. People think of them as super fast graphics card, and the graphics card my PC is a 3070. It does the trick. It's gotten to the point where it's kind of like Mac, you know what I mean? I think Nvidia is actually maybe more evil than Mac, or might be one of the most evil corporations in the world if you're judging evil by evil. That being said, their products are amazing because they're so popular and so powerful. The industry optimizes for them. So CPUs are still like there's lots of competition, and the Radeons have come up, but in general, like creators, gamers, we want Nvidia cards, and so does the AI world, so does the server world, even before this AI craze. And it really makes you wonder, what is Nvidia doing to the point where they were actually raided by the police, by the French government? I'm sure more information is coming out by the second, but the last that I've heard is that the French government raided one of their offices, and it was the graphics card division, and it had something to do with their cloud compute. And since I've researched it, Nvidia refuses to comment. Of course, the French government isn't commenting because it's an investigation and nothing's really available for the public at the moment. It's crazy, man. Like, what the heck were they doing? They probably have like everybody's data from the whole internet ever, like in their servers, training their AI, or who knows, man. They said it was anti-competitive. So, I mean, that could mean a lot of things. I think Nvidia is the definition of anti-competitive. And again, even more so than Mac. I was talking to a friend about this, and it's not quite as in your face. And like Mac, I don't know, Mac has like a special place in my heart, where Nvidia is like a tool that I need. Even though I don't currently own a modern Mac, I own like a broken Mac. I have like a MacBook Pro from like 2005 that I got for free that I'm holding on to for some reason. It doesn't even work. I got it to boot once, but anyway, that's a different story. But Mac has a special place in my heart of nostalgia because, you know, we had a bunch donated to us when I was in school. I used to have a MacBook Pro back in like 2017. I really, really liked it, and I pawned it because I was in a bad place in my life and I needed the money. So, and I've thought about switching to Mac. It's crazy to think about these big corporations taking advantage of the entire planet, right? At the same time, we need them, and it's awesome technology. When it comes to this show, this podcast, sorry I didn't bring my mirrorless camera today, by the way. I mean, I have it in my room, but this was like I'm making dinner, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna talk to the camera. Maybe by the end of the show I'll be on. Maybe not. I don't know. Podcasts are mainly audio anyway. By the way, this show does not represent me as a video editor. Remember to like and subscribe, and also go subscribe to my other channel, which more is representative of me as a video editor. Anybody in this space has been kind of watching Microsoft. They had their closed event. Man, that would have been fun if I was invited to that. Man, their Surface Pro Studio looks super cool. I haven't been excited about a Microsoft Surface ever. Like, I thought it was sort of a cool concept when they first talked about it years ago. Then it came out and I was like, that sucks. Now, like you can get a 3060, and they showed it beating a MacBook, but you know what? It doesn't have the encoders. For a video editor, I'm sure it's not as good. If you're going to use Blender, it's better than a MacBook, probably. I mean, they showed it on stage. I believe it has a 3060 in it. However, like a 3060, as far as desktops go, isn't that fast, and you could get way more bang for the buck than what you're going to spend on that laptop. Plus, it still looks like it would heat up way too hot. And as far as like battery life, I mean, come on, PC people. Like, I wish they would work on Windows on ARM. I think Linux on ARM is gonna maybe save the day at some point. Our mobile devices, when it comes to desktops, PCs are still killing it, but when it comes to mobile, everybody knows, man, they're just falling behind. At some point, it's just gonna be like Mac and Android, like iOS, Mac, or Android when it comes to mobile devices, right? I'm sick of like running out of battery, and if you're running a 3060 with, what did they say, an i7 and and I think it's gonna burn through battery. But it has a cool connector. It has a micro SD slot. Like, it's weird that those are making a comeback because they've been putting them into some recent cameras as well. But when it comes to Microsoft, the reason I brought them up mainly isn't because of the devices they're coming out with, but it's because of all the AI they're coming out with, right? They got the Copilot, and Meta's doing its thing. I talked about that yesterday. And it's all, this is like this side of it, and then Mac's doing their AI stuff as well. But Mac is always like usually more privacy orientated, even though they collect the data. Like, it's supposedly like encrypted, and like, I don't trust them, but like overall I trust them more than like all these companies, like Nvidia, Microsoft, Intel, OpenAI, and many, many more, like all having our Meta, right? Even though yesterday I did say Meta is probably the lesser of two evils, but that's an accessibility thing, not a privacy thing, is the reason I was saying that. And when it comes to Windows, it's like Copilot, like all the tools of it, it's like everything else I talk about, right? It's a double-edged sword. I say double-edged sword, it's like my catchphrase, right, at this point. Yeah, it has a bunch of cool features. The Copilot, your mom will be able to control the computer better and stuff like that. Is it going to be local, right? Like, they're putting these AI chips in there. The new Studio Pro 2 has this AI chip that Intel made, but it's not going to be powerful enough to do everything. And Microsoft in recent years, in the last like 10 years even, has been all about like signing into the cloud. I mean, they tried, like, I think it's still in the home version where you have to sign into your Microsoft account just to install Windows 11 or even Windows 10. You can bypass that. Like, I'm signed in on my Windows 11, right, for convenience sake. But with all this AI, I mean, they're going to have all that. And then what? Like, what does that mean? Like, I'm sure they're going to say something to make us all feel better about it. But basically, if Copilot's dealing with all your information on your PC, they're going to have all your information, and it's going to go into the algorithm and help develop the AI. And I don't know, how cool with that I am. Like, I have nothing to hide. It's not one of those things, and people that say that are idiots, but it's just the principle of the matter. At the same time, it's so convenient that, it's a really cool thing. But it definitely makes me think. I'm glad I learned how to use Linux, right? I'm currently using Pop! OS after getting into Ubuntu. I'm very new to Linux, but it's a cool environment, and it's like, at least if the big dogs are going to do things I don't like, at least I have that and can do things my own way, right? A lot more control. I don't know, like the whole AI thing. And Microsoft tends to just like I don't trust them as like, not like, I don't trust them as a corporation. Like, I don't trust any major corporation, but I don't trust them as like making things consumer friendly. Like, they make so many stupid mistakes, and then they come out with updates that like break things and driver issues. And it's and it's part of being like the open garden. Like, Mac is a closed garden, and everything like works together because like one company made the hardware and the software. That's what they're famous for. That's why everything works so great on the Mac side. That's why they can have way smaller components, way less powerful components that still work just as good as much higher components because everything's optimized. But when it comes to Microsoft, it's like they make baffling decisions time and time again and forget about old features. Like, they're just now like taking some of the things they should have done 5-10 years ago, like File Explorer. They added tabs, but now you can't drag tabs. And the search functions and different menus look like they're freaking from Windows 7, and it's crazy. And then they implemented of Windows 8 when they did all that, and they tried to change the UI, and then everybody hated it, so then they went back. And it's like, and then the Windows phones. I mean, they just have this huge history of being, not consumer friendly like every other corporation, but like just straight not user friendly. They just make baffling decisions when it comes to like using their devices. And I'm not for sure certain that their new, like, they might be going in too hard with their Copilot. Like, I don't know if it's even going to be good, like, despite the privacy issues, despite like trust or anything like that. Just as a user, like, is it going to be a good implementation, or are they just going to like put it on top of everything and say, there you go? Because as it is, it's like, dude, I can go to ChatGPT, I can go to Bard, I use Claude 2 most of the time, and I can just copy and paste it. I use Notion AI. and that's really good. And I like implementations of it as a user. To have it be everything, like I still want to be able to control my computer. I don't want AI everywhere. It reminds me of like a couple years ago when they were doing the NFTs and everybody was like, NFTs everything, and it's like it's a very different technology, but it's like these companies are like looking for the next thing that will get a craze, that will get people to buy their stuff. Because at one point we were like, every year you basically had to get a new computer if you wanted to keep up with the times, and that's still sort of true, but the jumps are a lot less. And even when the big jumps happen, you can still do a lot of what you need to do on the older stuff. Like in the video editing world, for instance, like you can buy the top of the line stuff and still have a hard time like editing 8K without proxies, right? However, like who's doing that? 8K is like has diminishing returns, and like at some point I'm sure in 10 years from now everybody will have 8K everything probably, but it's like going much slower than they wanted. They had 8K however many years ago, and people have been editing it for a while now. And still, there's Netflix shows that deliver their final results to the Netflix server in 4K or in 1080p, right? And they'll upscale it from there. A lot of, like, still to this day, a lot of people still use 1080p. I've never had a client, I've never wanted to. There's never been like a reason to have 8K. I've used like 8K, like ProRes before as B-roll. I still rendered the project out in 4K, and I still use 1080p for some things. The only reason I even use 4K is because, like, especially on YouTube and other platforms, is that the algorithms prefer it. I've been told. I don't know if that's even true. I mean, Mr. Beast puts his videos out in 1080p, but I mean, he could be an exception. He's huge. Like, what I was getting at is that PCs, although are getting better, the jumps aren't as great. The people that really like computers, like myself, I like to build computers. I'm interested in computers. I'm in that world. I like to upgrade my system as often as I can afford to upgrade my system. And I'm a video editor, so like I need to like render faster. It like saves me time. It's funner to work with. I can use bigger fusion clips, more 3D renders. When it comes to like regular people like my mom, like my little sister who knows more than my mom, but she's like on a MacBook from like 2016 and she does all her work on it. I mean, what does she need to do? I really like the idea of having everything local. What podcast was it? Was that Lex Freeman as well? I'm always talking about Lex Freeman. I also like other podcasts, but there was like a Lex Freeman, I can't remember his name, but he was talking about developing like a super box. And now this would be like a $20,000 to $40,000 super box, but people pay that much for like cinema cameras, right? Like I wouldn't be able to afford it now, maybe someday, but it'd be like instead of buying like a fast car, computer people could buy like a fast computer that could like run generative AI in your garage. Like you'd have it in your server rack. And that seems really cool. And I think that's really important, even if the average person can't afford it, but as many people as possible can have it. Now, then you get into the argument of like ethics, right? Because the wrong people are going to get it, but the wrong people already have it probably, right? It's out there, and they've open sourced some of it, right? There's all sorts of conversations about this, because you don't want just a few at the top to have it. If only like 10 people in the world had it, those 10 people would be the most powerful people on the planet. And right now it's like pretty widely distributed. However, like it still costs money to get the best stuff, and the people that are like invested in it and are working on it, like they have algorithms that do things that aren't even allowed to be doing. Like when OpenAI was like stopping the web interface, they just announced that ChatGPT can now scrape the web again, and they've gotten around them getting around paywalls, right? But like they could still do that. They turned it off, but they still had access to algorithm. I mean, I'm just stating the obvious, right? And if like they can do that, like there's other people out there that we don't even know about. Nvidia, for instance, like they all have their own AI algorithms. And it's funny because they call everything AI now, that it's gotten good enough to call AI, but like it's all algorithms. Like they've been running these algorithms for years and years. Food for thought. I'm gonna eat some food. I'm getting hungry. Thanks for watching. Remember to like, remember to subscribe, remember to go check out my other channel, and I'll see you in the next one.